Hello, today we're looking into Python object-oriented programming. Uh, what is object-oriented programming? It's a way of solving our programming problems by creating objects. So, an object, there are two characteristics of objects, as I have mentioned in the previous section, which are attributes and behaviors. Right. So, and let's take for example, we have the class or budgets. Okay, so I'm going to be using budgets throughout this video as an example. So we all know what a budget is. So let's say we have a class object. So this is a simple class definition, dividing class this way. And yeah, so you have a class, and for you to call this class, okay, so let's just print out the type of the class so we can see what that gives us is type of class object, right? And classes, for you to use classes, you have to instantiate these classes. You have to create instances of these classes. And how we can do that is by assigning it to a variable. Assign it this way, and then to create an instance of a class, you just put these two brackets. Now we'll print out obj. We have so print out the type. Print out the type. So we have instance. So obj is an instance of this class, right? Okay, so I mentioned earlier that classes objects have two characteristics. They have uh, attributes and they also have behavior. Now, let's take for example budgets. In the budgets, we can have different attributes from, let's say we can have amount, that's amount of budgets. We can have category of budgets. So these are attributes. And how can we create attributes? There are two ways to do that, right? We can have class attributes. That's by creating here. This is a class attribute. And we can also have instance attribute. That is by creating the init method, right? So by in the init method, we can have an instance attribute, for example, category, which is equals to, we can have different category. It can be of any type, can have food, uh, clothing, or entertainment. Right. So yeah, so we can have category such as we have self keyword there. So what the self keyword does is that it makes it links up all of these uh, instance variable to the classes, right? The self keyword, what the self keyword does is it is used to represent itself. So instance of the class, with this keyword, you'll be able to access the attributes and method together in that class. It links them up. So uh, you can also decide to pass in a category when we are initiating our function. So I just have these as both instance variable. So the init functions runs this automatically you create your when you create the instance of your class. So obj is equals to budget. You will notice when the program is telling us we have to pass in two arguments, which are category and amount, as we have stated here. So we can pass in category, for example, clothing, right? That is a category in our budget, and then we have an amount of probably 1,000. Yes. So with this we have created an instance of objects. We can also create multiple instances, right? This stores What this does is it is creating a space in the memory of your computer. It creates different space and stores these instances different. So you can use this budget and reuse it for different instances or for different categories. You can change this to food, you can change this to entertain, entertainment, right? So those are different instances of budgets. So when you create a budget for clothing, you can create different budgets for food, and create different budgets for entertainment. Now, those are the attributes. Now, we move to the, I mentioned earlier that objects have two characteristics, attributes and behaviors. So we move to aspect of behaviors. Behaviors, what can you do with these, budgets? What can you perform with budgets? To create behavior, we have to define methods. So methods, they are like your normal Python definition. So we have to start with the def keyword, and then we can deposit. That is one of the behavior. You can deposit into the budget. You can deposit into the budget, or we can let us return. That. Yeah, we can deposit into the budget. You can also probably check our budget balance, right? And also maybe withdraw from the budget. Okay, let's just add one more attribute. We can also transfer between budgets. We instantiated different budgets for clothing, food, and entertainment. We can also perform transfer between these budgets, right? So let's just bring out something here. This is a proceed method. So when we've instantiated this class with the category and the amount, now to use methods, we just instantiate this instance of the class with obj dot to perform this behavior, to perform the deposit behavior, just the deposit, right? Obj dot deposit, and you call the function. So if you print this out, we should have, so let me rename this one, K1, K2, K3, or let's just name it category. So now I'll call the category. This is now we're calling the clothing category, and we want it to perform the deposit behavior. What we can do is, so okay, so let's just print this out and see what it tells us. So it prints out this is a deposit function because that is what we have here, and then we have none. Why do we have none? Because normally a function should always have a return statement. So instead of using print, let's just use return, right? Return, and yeah, so the none is gone. Right, so that is how to create class, to create instance of class, to create methods, and yeah, that's basically uh, how you perform class creating of classes, creating multiple instances of that class, and be able to use it in other aspects of your program. So yeah, so let's just do a quick recap. We have talked about object-oriented programming. We have talked about creating classes which are shareable and reusable, and then we talked about creating instance of classes. So creating instance of classes and how we can use these methods, use these classes, how we can instantiate these classes with methods, right? So yeah, see you in the next video. Bye bye.